What the hell is going on is my question. What the hell is going on? How does the daughter know what spyglass looks like? My name is Anshalati. Welcome to also the book club. So today's video is going to be a continuation video from this video where we are breaking down chapters 11 to 19 for My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. It is a mystery thriller from what I understood from the contents of the book. I have no idea what the genre of this book is, what this book is supposed to be about, because I just picked a book and then I dove in. So this video is basically going to be continuing from that video. So if you want to get a recap of what happens in that video, stay tuned. It should come up in this timestamp. If this is something you're interested in hanging around with me for, hang around with me, I guess, and like the video if you like what I'm about to do. Comment what your theories are about what you think is happening in the book. Don't spoil. If you've read the book, do not spoil it. Don't forget to share the video and don't forget to subscribe. So first section we're going to be doing is basically me telling you guys about things that I think I should have brought up in the last video, but I forgot to, I guess. And when I was like reading through like chapter 11, I remembered, oh shucks, I forgot to like mention these few things. So in my last video, I made it seem like I was assuming that OG Eden was like in her 30s, forgetting that in like chapter 3, Harrison does make it a point to say, hey, I think that lady who was knocking on my door, the crazy lady, I think she's in her 30s. So if we take that information and we assume that Harrison actually knows OG Eden, it is his wife, he would know she's in her 30s. So it's one of those things that I made it seem, because I had forgotten, probably subconsciously I had remembered, but like I had actually forgotten that he told us that he thinks she is in her 30s. Another thing that I forgot to note, but I think I kind of make sense of by the time we get to chapter 10, is that somewhere, I think roughly in chapter 8 of the book, we are following Birdie going into her grandmother's house, which she has now inherited. In that house, she finds a pile of letters, and one of the letters is addressed to Birdie. Reason why Birdie's name is on that letter is because the granny and Birdie share the same name. Both of them are called Olivia Bird. Birdie just goes by a nickname because her surname is Bird, so she goes by Birdie, and her grandmother goes by Mrs. Bird. Simple as that. Simple as that. I also had a thing where I think the policeman is in on it. I don't know why, but I had this feeling that I think he's in on it, because you kind of need more than just Harrison and Inside Eden to essentially pull this off on that scale, is my thinking. Second last thing that I noted that I thought was important, Birdie's a criminal, guys. Birdie's a criminal. Obviously, meaning she has dubious morals. And the only information that I have about her being a criminal is because she tells us that she kind of does like really, really sketchy things. So she is a criminal in some way or another. And because of that, we can assume she's quite comfortable with something as simple as blackmail. So it kind of like enforces the theory that I had, and I still have, about her blackmailing, about her not being the real Eden. Right? And lastly, Birdie has cancer. Like, I think I know that about her, but I had forgotten. Birdie has cancer. She has nothing to lose. She has nothing to lose. So I think ruining people's lives is quite like, who cares? Who really cares? So we go into the next batch of chapters knowing these particular things, and you realize how much weight these particular things carry. Let's just do a quick recap of what happens in the story from chapter 1 to 10. We meet this lady named Eden, and Eden is basically locked out of her house. When she knocks on the door, she finds another strange lady at her house with her husband, and they're pretending like they don't know who she is. They are also saying that Eden is not Eden, and Inside Eden is the real Eden, and the Eden that we're following is like, hell no. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? So essentially her chapters are her trying to find ways to prove that she is the real Eden, and the chapters titled Birdie are taking place 6 months before the events of Eden's chapters, and we're just following a random girl who's just been told she has cancer, and on top of it, she's got an inheritance of this house from her grandmother that she didn't really know. So That's what we're doing. That's basically like the quickest way I can explain what's happening in the story. There's a lot more detail that comes in from the video that I made. So if you really want to follow what's going on, check out that. So let's talk about chapter 11. So in chapter 11, we are following Eden after she has escaped from the police station. She has taken the policeman's car keys and thrown them into the sea. And now she's going to break into her own house. Well, we assume this is OG Eden's house because I believe OG Eden is the real Eden. She's trying to break into her house so that she can find a form of identification like her passport or her driver's license and anything that belongs to her that she can prove that she is the real Eden. She breaks into the house, and when she walks into her house, she realizes that quite a few things are missing, and it just so happens to be all of her stuff. She even says, "It's as though all traces of me have been removed, hidden, taken." This also includes pictures with Harrison, pictures with their daughter, pictures of their family. It's just like she does not exist. There are some pictures with the husband and the daughter, but nothing with OG Eden in them. So this creates a lot of doubt in whether she is going crazy or have they physically gone out of their way to essentially erase her from this home that she claims is hers. After looking for some form of identification that she can't find, also because her stuff is gone, even her laptop, she then goes to the closet and says, okay, let me just get some clothes. Because remember, Han's in Lululemon right now. She's just come from her run and all she has are tights and like really cool athleisure. She's got tights on and some sports bra, I guess. That's what I put in my mind. I don't know if that's true. So she goes to the closet, and when she goes to the closet, she realizes that the clothes that she puts on, the pair of jeans that she pulls up, they don't actually fit. And she even says, the jeans feel a bit loose around the waist, but I suppose I have lost weight recently. She even goes to comment and say Harrison was being so distant, anxiety about the exhibition, guilt about my daughter, and weeks spent renovating this place have taken their toll. So she's giving reasons as to why her clothing might not be fitting her. She's stressed. She's telling us she's stressed and her clothes don't fit her. This is a normal human experience. So I'm not judging her and thinking, no, it's not her clothes because it's not for her. I'm not thinking any of that at this particular point. Understand, they have literally ransacked her life and kicked her out of it. But her level of anger is like insurmountable. She has this violent reaction because she sees her husband and House Eden in a picture. She even says maybe it's photoshopped. And then she goes and tells us, I am not a violent person, but something inside me snaps and I throw the frame across the room. It hits the wall, falls to the floor, and the glass shatters. This lady's an angry lady. This lady's a very angry lady. And I think they highlight these points in the book because it feeds into a bigger storyline. But right now, we don't have that information to kind of like tell us that we are right or we are wrong. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking this, but I think that there's something to that. Another thing that happens is as she's busy ransacking the house, looking for her stuff, she can hear someone in the house. But the question becomes, how is this person in the house? Because she didn't hear them come in. Do they have a key? She didn't hear the door opening. So how is this person inside? Remember, I mentioned at some point that there's a bookshelf or a little library shelf that is not supposed to be moved. I think this might tie somewhere in that storyline, right? I don't know yet. I don't know. And the last thing that happens in this particular chapter is that she walks out of the bedroom and she's at the top of the stairs and someone pushes her, or she might have tripped. We're not sure at this particular point because she passes out, so she can't tell us what happened. And the chapter ends. In this particular chapter, I'm like, what is going on? Is there someone else helping this couple? Because remember, at this particular point, the couple, Eden and Harrison, are still at the art exhibition. So obviously it can't be them. And if it was them, why wouldn't they have made it known that they were in the house, they were back in the house? And if it was them, there would be two of them and not just one of them. Another thing that is also mentioned in this chapter, but I don't know how it ties in, but it's something that keeps coming up like at least once in the last group of chapters, and it came back again in this group of chapters. And I feel it's important to mention. is that she mentions doing her best when she's always running. She's always running from things. She's always running away from problems, away from something. And I was like, wait, why do they keep telling us this, right? They even say in the book, I can't see my way back, so I do what I always do and run. Another quote that comes up in like the earlier chapters was, so do what I always do when real life gets too loud. I run. Why do they keep bringing that up? This is the second time I'm seeing this. I don't know how it ties into the story, but this is the information we get from chapter 11. So in this chapter, we're following Birdie 6 months ago, and she's still speaking to the policeman that has stopped at her house. In this interaction, the policeman confirms that the granny's name was also Olivia Bird, similar to Birdie's government name. And then, interestingly, Birdie likes to note that this policeman is very handsome and young, but overconfident and very underprepared. So I think that was like an important point to like highlight to us, but not put too much emphasis on it, because I think because of these particular traits, he will be easily manipulated into helping Birdie with the plan of blackmailing Harrison as well as OG Eden. Another thing that we learn in this particular chapter is the letter that has the death date on it for the grandmother. That was sent to the police also by the grandmother, telling the policeman that I will be dead on this so-and-so date. So just come and check up on me, but just know I will be dead on that particular date, because that's what this letter is saying about my death date. The policeman then confirms that, yeah, the coroner said it was natural causes, but it's very, very strange that a company is able to determine when a person is going to die. In this chapter, Birdie also tells us that possibly her mom might have killed herself. And this particular pain she describes as, what my mom did dismantled me. I didn't lose her, but I have felt lost since she died, untethered, alone. This is not the same as that. This is particularly in response to the policeman saying, I'm really, really sorry for your loss. And then she tells us what her mom and her granny have done doesn't actually feel like a loss. It feels more like a dismantling of one's identity. So that's why she makes this poignant point about death. The last thing that we learn in this particular interaction is that the policeman confirms that because the granny was so old and a loner, a lot of legends were created around her, and was known in town as the woman who died twice. And I was like, that's interesting. Why do people think she died twice? Was my question. I don't have any theories with regards to what's happening in the book so far, so let's just continue. So for chapter 13, we go back to OG Eden. In this chapter, we follow the events of her falling. She wakes up and realizes the policeman is standing over her, asking her if she's okay. She's wondering if he's the one who pushed her. We don't know. And he explains that, I assumed after you threw away my car keys that you would come back to this house because you're so hell-bent on believing that you are Eden Fox and you live in this house. So the first place I would check is this house. So that's why I'm here. But I found you on the floor and I think you tripped. And she goes, I think someone pushed me. And the guy goes, no, nobody pushed you. He doesn't even take her head injury seriously until he realizes that she has blood on her hands after she puts her hand there. She then says to him, there are clean towels in the cupboard at the top of the stairs. I tell him, he climbs the steps 2 at a time, opens the cupboard, then says, you're right, they are. This is supposed to prove to this amateur cop that she actually is the owner of the house. But then again, you need to remember that she's been in this house for quite some time at the time that the policeman gets to the house too, right? So obviously she might have seen them as she was rummaging through the house. So I was like, okay, maybe we can give him the benefit of the doubt. But I have this image of him being very, very incompetent and amateur. So he doesn't connect things that a seasoned officer would be able to connect. As he's about to give her the towel, his back is turned. She runs away, gets into her car with a bag that she's packed and drives away. In chapter 14, we go back to Birdie and we find out that instead of the policeman leaving her at her house, she asks him to take her to the granny's gravesite. She gets to the gravesite and realizes that at the gravesite, there is an epitaph. I think it's called an epitaph. You see where you write on the gravestone, it's written, "The woman who died twice." Right? So what is the legend of the woman who died twice? It is said that the granny was engaged to get married to someone when she was 18. And this was around the 1940s, so during World War II. So she gets a letter telling her that her fiance has passed away and died in the war. And after she reads this, it is said she read the telegram and dropped dead on the spot, as though her heart had literally broken. And then she died. Her family, because they were very, very wealthy during the 1940s, probably from war, so bad people type of stuff, they decide to do the most, I think, out of touch thing a lot of rich people do during like really bad times, which is like adorn their daughter's body with jewels and put her in the casket, the most beautiful casket in the town. And obviously people are hungry, so grave robbers come later that night and they try to steal her jewelry. They get as much as they possibly can, and when they're about to take the biggest ruby ring that the granny is wearing when she was like 18, they realize it's very, very stiff, so they can't take it off, so they cut it off. As they're busy cutting it off, the granny wakes up and screams, the robbers run away, and then she gets out of the casket and goes home. The next morning, her family finds her in her bed, bloody from the loss of her finger, as well as muddy from the fact that she was in a grave, you know? So they are like, what the hell? Number one, how are you still alive? Number two, how did you get in the house? Because they are very, very sure that they locked the doors, the windows, and everything. So they're wondering how she came back. So that's why she's the woman who died twice, because she died in the 1940s and also died now in our story. Another interesting thing that keeps coming up in the story is the fact that the town is looking to get a new detective. But another thing that the policeman keeps reiterating is like, I don't understand why they need another detective, knowing very well that there is no crime in this town. He keeps saying that, and he's like, I'm not sure. I don't know why. There's no crime, but they want a new detective. So there's a bit of an inconsistency that I think is going to like feed into the rest of the story as we go along. But for now, it's something that I want to note so that I don't forget it. So after visiting the gravesite, the policeman asks Birdie if she wants to go out for a drink. So again, it's enforcing the fact that I think this guy is in on it in 6 months' time, because they're starting this relationship, I guess, now. So it's easy to assume that by the time OG Eden and Harrison moved to Spyglass, moved to Hope Falls, there's something that could happen. I don't know what it is at this particular point, but something could happen where he finds himself essentially helping to have this ruse going on, because Birdie needs someone she can trust. If she's blackmailing Harrison, obviously she's not going to trust him. So she needs somebody that she can quote unquote trust or manipulate into trusting her to help her with the scheme. I'm like so sure this is the right answer. I'm just not sure if I'm right. I don't know if that makes sense. In chapter 15, we go back to Eden. She's in her car and she tells us that she's driving to go see her daughter. In this particular chapter, it is confirmed that the daughter is 18. I had assumed that the daughter has gone off to university or college, but the story tells us that no, the daughter is actually in a mental unit because she was in an accident when she was 8, which was 10 years ago. In this accident, she got run over by a police car driving too fast, and physically she was quite damaged, but eventually she got better. But mentally, she was never okay. She has stopped speaking, and all the specialists that they've taken this girl to have said this is just neurological. This is because of the trauma that her body went through, and it is essentially not willing to interact with people the same way it used to, and it shows itself in her mutism. Furthermore, OG Eden explains to us that her relationship with her daughter is quite strained. How she tells us this is that she tells us that Gabby was always a daddy's girl. She liked me, but she adored Harrison. And because of that particular dynamic, you have a daughter who always wants her father's attention, even during a time where the parents would like some alone time. She never really understood why daddy could not be around her as much as she wanted to when he was home. So you get a sense that, oh, okay, we might be going to speak to somebody that might hate this lady. So I'm a little worried. But this particular chapter tells us that OG Eden isn't actually going to go see her daughter, but more to see a photograph that has OG Eden, Harrison, as well as the daughter in it, so that she can confirm that she is Eden Fox and she's not actually crazy. I'm worried. When I was at this point, I was like, oh, I'm worried. We're going to speak to a person who might not be well in the head, but she can't talk. So that kind of like settled me a bit. And then the next few chapters came along and I was like, In chapter 16, I have another big theory similar to chapter 4 in the last video. In this particular chapter, we get some information that I think kind of enforces my blackmail theory. However, it adds meat to it. Right. So in this chapter, we've just seen the policeman asking Birdie out for a drink. And she's like, nah, I don't drink, but you can come into my house and we can do other things. And of course, they're packering the hell out of each other. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. And I was like, I knew it. Hanky Panky is the greatest motivator to do anything. So he's probably going to feel like she's doing him a favor and he's going to be manipulated into helping her blackmail the people she's blackmailing. We will come back to this, right? I'll even take this part of the video and show you guys down the line. After the hanky panky, Birdie starts thinking about the company that was able to tell the granny the exact date that she was about to die. She starts thinking about the logistics of what knowing when someone is going to die would entail. How is somebody able to determine that is one of the questions that she has. She's even asking the policeman, like, hey, like, how do you think she knew that she was going to die on that day? And she actually died, so much so she was able to tell you guys to come to her house on the right date. And the policeman's like, I really have no idea how she got that right. But the coroner, as mentioned, has confirmed that it was death by natural causes. So it creates this doubt about whether or not she was going to die because something in her body tells the people at the company that, hey, I'm going to die on this particular date. It creates a lot of doubt around that particular situation. But then I had the question, if somebody knows or somebody is able to tell you when you're about to die, would you not suspect them in your death if you die? I would. If someone said, Inshallah, you're going to die tomorrow, and I die tomorrow, you killed me. You, the teller, you killed me. Simple as that. So because of these thoughts in Birdie's mind, she says, I want to figure out what their involvement was in the granny's death. Another thing we also learn is that Birdie has like these old vintage phones that don't have the internet. It only calls and sends messages and is not a smartphone. And she tells us it's because she likes her privacy. She doesn't like the fact that these smartphones can essentially listen to us and take our information and do whatever it wants with it without our actual knowledge. So it kind of feeds into that criminal angle. Why are you worried? I'm not worried if Google is listening to me talk about this book that I really love. I'm not worried. And yet she is. So people like that often have something to hide. People who don't have anything to hide will often not be bugged by the fact that big corporations are listening to us for like ads and stuff. But she is. So I think it ties really well to she might be a criminal. Okay, so here's my big theory. In my notes, right, I even wrote it as wild, far-fetched theory. Because even I thought this is crazy. This is so far-fetched. But like, let's reach, man. Let's reach. I have nothing to lose with these fake theories about a book. So let's go. I think Harrison, the husband, is the CEO of the company that is going around telling people when they are going to die. The company's name is Thanatos, and we've only heard it in relation to the death day note and never in relation to him. They didn't also tell us what kind of company he works for in the chapters that we've read so far. But I think he is the CEO of that company. And because of that connection and possibly finding out that these people might have killed her granny, Birdie gets revenge by blackmailing Harrison with this information. And I think this is what it is. Last few chapters, I thought it was because of her past, because they grew up together. I don't think so. I have another theory about that, but we'll get to that in my final thought. Chapter 17. Chapter 17. Yarr. We go back to Eden. She eventually gets to her daughter's mental unit. When she gets to that mental unit, we learn a few things. Number one, OG Eden might not like her child at all. Right? She might not like her child, but I think her child hates her even more, is what I took from this particular chapter. As she's about to walk into her daughter's room, her internal monologue is telling us that this woman is quite critical of her daughter. It might be because the daughter liked the dad and loved the dad a lot more than she liked OG Eden. So Eden is quite critical of this child who didn't like her. So you can hear it in her internal monologue. She even says, Gabriella was a happy child before the accident, but she was never kind. Another thing she says is, but I like to believe that painting makes her happy, even if she isn't terribly good at it. What mother says her child's art is not good? Is not good, especially if the child is using it for therapy. I'm worried OG Eden might be an asshole. So when she walks into a room, surprise, surprise, the drawings that she had described as childlike are suddenly perfect, beautiful, and terrifying. When did that happen? How did that happen? Why is it that for 10 years, right? For 10 years, when she was being taken care of by her mom, the drawings were considered childlike and not so good. But when she moved into this mental unit, which happened only 6 months ago, she's suddenly making art that is described as perfect, beautiful, and terrifying. I'm worried that OG Eden might be an asshole. And this is the first time in the whole book I don't feel sorry for this lady. I don't feel sorry for her. And then this happens. She tells us that all of these pictures are different angles of Spyglass, the house that they recently moved into that the daughter has never been to. What the hell is going on is my question. What the hell is going on? How does the daughter know what Spyglass looks like? We are told that OG Eden hasn't visited the daughter since she moved her in, right? But has the dad? Maybe daddy came and visited and showed the child pictures of this, or dad took the child to Spyglass. But the kicker of this particular chapter is the fact that this daughter says, and I quote, "She is not my mother." What are we doing? Chapter 17 has me here with OG Eden. It has me here. I don't know how I feel about her, but I'm not happy with her. I'm not happy with her after chapter 17. I'm not happy with her. Woo-wee. Okay, in chapter 18, we follow Birdie back in London. She has left Hope Falls for a little bit, and she's going to see the company name Thanatos to see if they can figure out when she's dying too. Because also remember, she has terminal cancer, and so anytime now she can leave and die. But I think the main reason she's going to go see them is because the hospital people were unable to tell her how long she has to live. So she was like, while I try and find out whether these people killed my granny or not, let me also go find out for myself whether I have enough time to do that revenge thing that she was talking about in the last video. In this particular chapter, we find out that Thanatos is running like a crazy program. So what's happening here is that Thanatos, in their intake process, they ask about your annual income, your social media. They want to track your devices by putting apps on your devices to see where you are. And my first question to that was, is it because they want to come and kill you on the day that they've said that you're going to die? Like, these are the kinds of questions that I always have when I read these mystery thrillers, because I'm always interested in knowing, why are the people doing the things that they're doing? In this instance, why do you need to put tracking devices on someone's devices if they just want to know when they're going to die? Why is that important? Another thing that the questionnaire or the intake form requires is for the person to fill out all their relatives. Remember, Granny also did this intake form, so she probably put Birdie on the form, so they know about her. Fun fact, you can only come to Thanatos by invitation. If you don't get an invitation, you're not allowed in. There's so many websites that you have to like key into before you actually get to the actual company when they ask you about all of this information. This is important because when she calls and tells them she's whoever she is, they let her come. I think it's because the granny had told them about her, and so they've already done their background checks on her. So when she wanted to come through, they just said come through because they knew who she was. And another question that keeps popping up is these people don't want money for their services. What do they want? What are they gaining from this particular service? Chapter 18 was crazy because we learn a lot more about the Thanatos, which I think is a key thing in this particular mystery. Chapter 19 comes around and we go back to Eden. In this chapter, we're still in the room with Eden and her daughter, and OG Eden has just been told that she is not the mother. She's not the mother, and my doubt starts to creep in. Remember, I've been fighting that OG Eden is real Eden. I start to have doubts in my own theories in this particular part of the story. What follows after the she's not my mother is the daughter starts to cry and the nurse hurries to her and starts comforting her. While the nurse is faced away, this is what is said. But when the other woman in the room isn't looking, Gabriella turns her face towards me and slowly smiles. We're dealing with another crazy person. Whoever fake Eden is, and this daughter, crazy. Crazy as hell. Because what do you mean? What do you mean you're smiling after lying or saying or pretending to lie about who your mother is? Like, what are we doing? Is the daughter in on it? It seems like it. But then again, remember what I mentioned. The daughter is a daddy's girl. So if daddy came and said, hey, we're going to have to pretend OG Eden is not your mother when she comes to try and verify that she is who she really is, she's probably going to go with it. She is young. She's impressionable. She loves her daddy. And we've heard that she's a little bit cuckoo because she was in an accident. She's in on it. Obviously, she's in on it. She's in on it. And I'm not surprised that OG Eden then turns around and says, she's too much. She always was. And I can't take anymore. I used to love her, but now I hate her. I wish she was never born. This is the type of contempt that comes with a lot of years of tension between two people. I'm not surprised. Like, this type of reaction to the daughter is not surprising, especially with everything that OG Eden has told us. But then again, OG Eden might not be real Eden. So what am I defending? I'm worried that I might be defending the wrong person. I'm really, really worried at this point. She then leaves the mental unit. She drives away. And because she's one of those eco-friendly people, she drives an electric car that runs out of charge in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night. So she's kind of screwed. So she takes a sweater, puts it on her body, and falls asleep. When she wakes up, she hears a phone, but she doesn't have her phone. So she looks around and finds the phone that is in her car, being a phone that she's never seen before, but one of those really, really old phones. She looks through it and realizes there's a message that says, and I quote, Eden, everything is going to be okay. Go to our special place at sunrise and I'll be there. Love you to the moon and back. And after this, she explains to us that the reference to the moon and back is about a keychain that was gifted to her by Harrison. So she's assuming this message is from Harrison. So at sunrise, she goes to their special place. It just so happens to be a cliff where they were having a picnic. And then when she gets there, she's waiting for Harrison, her husband, to come tell her what the hell is going on. And somebody pushes her off the cliff and she might be dead. What is going on? Why are people trying to kill this lady? First, it happened on the staircase. Now it's happening on a cliff. That I don't know. This book is so good. This book is so flippin' good. And when I was telling my mom that I had to stop at chapter 19, she's like, why? I'm like, bro. Anyway, final notes. Today we're doing proper final notes. Proper final notes. So firstly, somebody's either trying to kill OG Eden or they're trying to incapacitate her. At this point, I'm convinced they're trying to kill her because nobody gets pushed as many times as this lady has been pushed. Down a cliff, down the stairs, no one. No, twice in less than 24 hours. Mad stuff. Mad stuff. Somebody's trying to hurt this lady. Another thing is that something is up with the Thanatos company, the company that's promising people that they are able to tell them when they're about to die. Something is up with that company. It's weird. And I think the fact that they keep mentioning this company is important because they are going to be like probably one of the central themes for why the mystery is happening in the story. Definitely the policeman is in on it. After the hanky-panky that they did, he's definitely head over heels for this woman. She's an older woman. So the power dynamic there is something that is essentially going to be his downfall and why he ends up helping crazy people blackmail innocent people. But I don't think OG Eden is actually as innocent as I would have liked her to be in this situation because she's bearing way too much of the brunt of whatever is happening, the so-called blackmail that I think is happening. She's bearing too much of the brunt of it. Definitely Gabby's in on it. And I don't think Gabby's in on it for the same reasons, let's say, the husband would be in on it. I think the husband is being blackmailed, so he's under duress, so that's why he's doing what he's doing. But I think Gabby's in on it because she actually hates her mom. I think the daughter hates her mom enough for her to essentially discredit her own identity so that whatever's happening can continue to happen for as long as possible. Lastly, here is my big new theory for this thing that ties in with my blackmail theory a little bit, right? I think OG Eden is bearing a lot of the brunt of this particular blackmail saga simply because she grew up in the foster care home that Birdie was in. Right? Hear me out. There are a lot of references in this book about how OG Eden has no one else. She only has her daughter and her husband. It's said that she is unable to contact family, but we are never told why she can't contact her family. I think it's because she doesn't have family. I think she doesn't have family and grew up in the foster care system, and that's where she crossed paths with Birdie. And Birdie is now trying to get revenge on Eden because Eden was possibly a reason that she had such a bad time in foster care. I think that might be why Eden is essentially being ostracized by the people in her life right now, because Eden, who has nothing to lose at this particular point, is trying to get her back just before she's about to die herself. So I think that is what is happening there. And the reason why Harrison is involved is because he works for the company that killed the grandmother. So when Birdie went out looking for the connection with the grandmother, Birdie realized, oh, it's this guy who killed my granny, and he's married to this woman who terrorized me as a child in foster care. I think that's what's happening. It's so far-fetched that even I have a lot of doubts telling you guys about it, but I'm quite comfortable that this might be something that could possibly be happening. Right? That could possibly be happening. We're going to be reading the next few chapters soon. Once I finish editing the video, because I like to continue reading the book after I have edited the video. So when I edit the video, I have no bias of what's to come in the following chapters. So that's why I am not sure when that will be. Depending on how long it takes me to edit this particular video, I'll come back. I'll try and come back with a new video before next week ends. I'll come back with chapter 20 to chapter 36, I think was the plan. I have a plan based off of what ChatGPT told me. ChatGPT told me to read chapter 1 to 10 first, then chapter 11 to 19. And I think the chapter 19 one is insane because OG Eden could be dead. She could be dead, but I don't think so. I haven't checked the chapters in the book, the rest of the chapters, because I don't go past the chapter that I'm talking about. So we're going to have to wait and see where I get to. But I think the next video is going to be about chapter 20 to chapter 36. I think that's what ChatGPT said I should do. No spoilers, because I like how I feel going through the book completely blind. I like how I feel. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video like I enjoyed making it, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to comment what you think is happening in the story based off of the information that I've given you. Also, subscribe to the channel. Share the video with people that you think might like what I'm doing. And yeah, goodbye. Okay, so let's do... daughter has said she is not my mother. And chapter 19. Yo, guys, was Gabriella.